Welcome to biology class students. Today I will be talking about the following topics. We have already learned the introductory part of reproduction in organisms, and now I am going to take up the next topics which I have put as key concept and topics. The first one is vegetative propagules, second is homothelic and heterothelic, third is your different types of gametes and spores, and then events during reproduction, oestrus and menstrual cycle, and last is your viviparous and oviparous. I already told you about what is reproduction, how it takes place, what are its types like sexual and asexual. We should also have to see the importance of sexual reproduction. As you have learned in your lower classes, sexual reproduction is very important because it produces variations which help in the evolution of new species. I think this is clear to you. Now let me come to these topics. One by one we are going to discuss. Now first I am going to discuss about the vegetative propagules. I had taught you till vegetative propagation. Now, as I have told you, what is vegetative propagation? Propagation means spreading in English. Now, in biology, we are going to talk about what is propagation and what its meaning is. In case of biology, when we talk about propagation, we are talking about spreading of the species or production of new kinds. And one of that ways is vegetative also. What is vegetative? Vegetative means the parts of the plants which do not involve in the reproduction, they also are able to produce. Now why? Why? First of all, we have to talk about the propagules. Now, the plants have generated these propagules in the parts which can actually produce new kind, and they can during the unfavorable conditions when the seeds are not able to germinate, sprout, then vegetative propagation is used by the plants. And some of the plants, they have already lost the capability of producing new kind through seeds, and one of them is the rose also. We take rose cuttings, and man has also actually done artificial vegetative propagation, grafting, air layering, etc. You have learned this in your lower classes also. Now coming to this, what is a vegetative propagule? As I told you that we are going to discuss the key concept about these. Propagule means the bodies which help in the production of a new plant. Let me come to the example, because in biology whenever we are going to learn something we have to give a reason for that. And as a matter of fact, in biology we can give a reason through examples. Now vegetative propagules, when I will tell you the examples you will come to understand that. When I talk about vegetative propagules, I am talking about a body which is produced by plants and it can form a new plant. When I talk about the new plant, it means a new plant. Then comes the propagules. First of all, I will tell you about, in case of potato, there are tubers. So tuber is a kind of stem modification, and it has got eyes. These eyes are adventitious buds, and it can grow into a new plant always. So you would have seen that the farmers are using the tubers of potato for creating new plants, and mostly we grow potato with the help of tubers only. So tuber is an example of potato. In NEET, always they are going to ask you the examples most of the times. Now, second is going to be the rhizome. Now, rhizome, now this is a stem modification. Now, this is also a stem modification. I told you in your 9th, 11th also. Then, when I talk about rhizome, this is found in the case of ginger. You would have seen ginger, other जिसे बोलते हैं. Now, these are the birds. Now, what are these birds? Actually, these birds are going to grow from the internodes, because we know that in a stem there are internodes and nodes. These are the nodes from, and these are the internodes. Now, nodes have got the meristematic tissue from which a new plant or a new branch grows. Suppose we want a new plant to be grown out of it. What we are going to do, we'll be cutting it up artificially, and we are going to put that. We can cut this whole stem also without the roots. Then after that we are going to put it under the soil, but we need to take one precaution, that two nodes should be inside the soil and two nodes should be above the soil, and it should be in slant position, 45 degree, because it helps in the movement of the minerals easily. After a small time, roots are going to grow and leaves are going to go from the upper side, the side which is out of the soil. And the precautions we have to take it, the soil should be damp and pressed properly. Now, this is an artificial way of creating new plants with the help of cuttings. Okay, and these are the things, these are the naturally produced propagules by the plants. So I have just compared these two things, because the new testing system is going to test you on the basis of your comparative analysis also. So analytical questions are going to come. During analytical questions, they are going to compare some things and they will be asking you which is going to be better one. So with the help of the artificial ones, we can produce number of plants. This takes place in the case of the sugarcane. So most of the times we produce sugarcane with the help of the stem cuttings. There is a number of ways, there are n number of ways by which we can produce new plants through artificial propagation, vegetative propagation. We will discuss it in a separate topic. Now comes here, next thing is rhizome. I have already told you, this is found in ginger. Again, in the examination they can give you the diagram and they can ask you to label it. Suppose this is A, this is B. So we will label it totally, it is going to be a tuber. And what is its modification type is, you will answer, it will be a stem. And A label, when it is going to be there, it is eyes, which means it is adventitious buds. They are actually the nodes. So that is why we call it as a stem, because it is having the buds. Okay, children. Now I am going to go ahead. Then after that there are bulbs. Now bulbs are used in case of glidulus also. Bulbs are also used in the case of the onion also. You've seen the onion bulbs. Actually, what is onion? It is a leaf modification. The root is here. Then these are the roots. This is the stem part, and these are the leaves. So the leaves, stem, and roots. So bulbs are there, and apart from that, there are other vegetative propagules. I am going to discuss them. I am rubbing this on. Hope that you have got this. Now, children, what are the other vegetative propagules? They are given in the NCERT. These were not given in your NCERT. Now, other than that, there are bulbils, which are found in the agave plant. Now, bulbils are one of the types of the adventitious buds. They are found in a cave plant, which helps in growth of a new plant. Then there is offset. This is found in water hyacinth or Ecorhina crassipus. You will learn more about it. Now, how this offset grows? The offset grows a bunch of roots here. It is an aquatic plant, and then after that a shoot. This is a shoot. This is going to grow, and after that a new plant will be grown. It has a very high rate of growth. It also causes water pollution. We will learn it in your last chapter. Again, we are going to learn this up. So you should have to remember what you have been learning in the first chapter. And all the chapters are interconnected. We will see when we will be doing the course of. Now comes the next one is, that is your stolon. Children, when we talk about this stolon, we are talking about a plant which is growing above the soil. Just now I told you about a plant which was growing in the water. Now I am telling you a plant which is growing above the soil through a stem. So the stem is moving, it is growing, the stem is growing, and then a new plant is coming up and new roots are being formed. So this is the case of Fragera. Fragera, that is strawberry. In the case of the strawberry, a new plant is going to be formed above the ground. Means a bridge type structure is going to be formed, and this bridge type structure, when it comes to the ground, it attaches there and it grows a new plant. So this is how it grows. Now children, I am to go further, and now we are going to learn about the runners. You have seen the grasses, cynodendron, Brahma grass, Burma grass is there. So this is the grass which known as runner. Now the grasses, they creep on the ground and they grow new plants. So you can easily now understand that how the propagules are producing new plants. Okay children? Now there is another example. There is a type of plant which grows underground. Okay, the stem is going inside and it will be growing a new plant. Now what is this? This is a sucker. And this is a sucker. In case of the sucker, the plant is going to go down. Now in this we are going to mint is the example. Okay, and Chiasmum is also an example. You can also take up your NCRT and you can see these examples given there. So sucker is mint, grass, runner, and strawberry and fragera. When we talk about this, these are the stolon. So these are the vegetative propagules. Sucker, runner, stolon, offset, as I have told you. Okay children. Apart from that, there are other type of structures which are found in other organisms which help in the propagation. Okay, when I talk about propagation, there are other structures like in penicillium. I am not talking about vegetative propagules now, I am talking about other structures. In penicillium, or in most of the cases, that is fungi in total, penicillium produces conidia. What is these conidias are? The conidias are structure of exogenous. There are two types of spores, one is endogenous spore produced in the case of the mucor. This is endogenous, and this is exogenous. It is outside the body and these are the inside the body. Understood? So this is known as conidiophore, the structure on which the conidia are formed. Now these conidia are the spores. These spores can produce new penicillium bodies. Understood? Okay. Now this is endogenous and exogenous. In AIPMT or medical entrance, they ask these, already these have come there. Now coming to the next structures, children. Now there are gemmules also. These are also asexual bodies. Gemmules I am talking about. Now this is a gemmule produced porifera or sponges. Now this has also come in a lot of examinations. These are the spicules. Spicules are fiber-like structures. They can be monoaxon, single, and they are made up of, they are calcareous, they are made up of calcium carbonate. They are silicate, made up of silica, SiO2, CaCO3, which help in the structuring of the gemmule. The gemmule are the bodies which actually produce the structures. These are the new cells will grow into new individual. Now these are, as I've told you, sponges are animals. This comes under animalia. So we talked about gemmule. Gemmule is a structure. It is a body which can produce new organisms. These are archaeocyte cells and they can produce new individuals. Okay, children. Then after that, I will be discussing about the gametes and the spores. This is very important. Already I talked about the spores, but I need to tell you about the spores. When we talk about the spores, spores can be both types. They can be sexual spores and asexual spores. When we talk about the sexual spores, we are going to talk about Bas, as, os. Bas means basidiospore. S means ascospore. And os means oospore. Now here is a small hint to you. Technically, we can use Bas as os. It will be easier to you remember sexual spores. Whenever we talk about O means ovum. So you will always remember that oospores are sexual spores. So it will be easier for you to recall in the examination room. Now coming to the asexual spores. These are con, spo and zoo. When we talk about conidia, this is conidiospore, conidiospore. This is sporangiospore and this is zoospore. Scientific lexicography is very important and children, you should have a dictionary that will also help you out to learn new vocabulary. Now coming to this is con, spo, zoo is easier to remember. Now zoospore has a property. That property is they are motile spores and they are produced by unicellular chlamydomonas. These are produced by fungus and algae we call them, fungus and algae. They produce these all spores. So whenever in examination it comes, give an example, you can give fungus, algae, or you can also give the name of the genus. Well children, I told you about the spores. Now spores are asexual bodies, asexual spores I have told you. Then there is a zygospore. Now zygospore is what? Zygospore is a non-motile spore. This is a non-motile spore which is formed by the fertilization of the spores. So in case of algae, what happens is when the two gametes, this is a male gamete, this is a female gamete. When they will be forming, there will be a zygote type structure will be formed, and this zygote undergoes meiosis and it produces a number of spores. And these spores then are going to spread the species. This happens here. The organism, the adult, is monoploid, means single set of chromosomes is found in case of algae and fungus. In most of the algae and fungus, they are monoploid. Like we are diploid. Why we are diploid? Now again, this is a comparative analysis. In case of fungus and algae, they are monoploid, means single set of chromosome. Single chromosome number, you can say. Single chromosome number. And our case, the zygote grows into adult. So we have two aneuploidy, that is diploid. We are mostly diploid. Now this question have been asked in CBSE examination also, and it has also been asked in the competitive examination. So this is a male and this is a female. When we talk about, mostly females are, the egg is larger, and in case of humans and other organisms, the male gamete is moving always. Okay, it moves toward the female, so it has got a flagella over it. We will discuss more in the next topics. Now we are diploid organism. The adult is always diploid in our case, but in the case of the fungus, that is Penicillium, Aspergillus, etc., mostly they are monoploid. There may be some algae and fungus which can be diploid as an adult, or the mature organism, you can say. Instead of using the adult term, we can also use the mature organism. Okay children, till now we have learned about spores. Now I am going to tell you about what are gametes. Now gametes, these are found in sexually reproducing organisms. I told you in your last lecture that in sexually reproducing organisms, the gametes are produced, and there are two individuals there involved in doing the reproduction. Now, gametes are the cells which take part in reproduction. Cells take part in reproduction of new individual or progeny or offspring. Children, when we talk about progeny, we are talking about pro means first, geny means it comes to genes, etc. So the genes are passed through them. Now offspring means some root have passed and it has made a new individual. So this is offspring. We can use the term offspring, you can use the term of new individual, you can use the term progeny. These three things you can always learn and you can use them. Now these cells are of different types. Now gametes, how they are produced, how they are produced. Okay, they are produced by gametogenesis, means formation of new gamete. Process of formation of new gamete. Now, what are the gametes? Names we have to talk about names. So, there are two: sperm, ovum or egg. This is male, this is female. Most of the times we use it for the animals. In the case of the plants, we use the term antherzoid. In the case of the bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperms, most of the times we use the term antherzoid. So this is the male gamete, and in the female it is egg. And in case of the higher organisms, that is your angiosperms, it is going to be the male gamete only. In the case of angiosperms, it is male gamete only. Okay, children. Now let me come to the next topic now. That is the types of gametes. How many types of gametes are produced? How many types of gametes? Now, types of gametes. There are mostly two types of gametes. One is homogamete, or we call it isogamete, and other is going to be heterogamete. Heterogametes, when we talk about, they are different on the basis of their shape, different shape, size, different. The case is male and female, egg and sperm. Now this has been asked many a times. And in heterogametes also there is an isogamete. Now here what happens is the same size is different. Now this happens in the case of the fucus. Example. The example has been asked in the examination. Now in the case of the homogametes, when we talk about the homogametes, they have similar shape is similar, size is similar. Case of chlamydomonas. In case of chlamydomonas, the shape and size of the male and the female gametes is similar. Okay, children? So I have to come to the new topic now. This has been asked in the board examination and also in the competitive examination. So do take care of that. Now coming to the next topic. Which bodies are going to produce these gametes? Now there are different names of them. So the bodies, structures producing gametes. Now they homothallic structures are there and heterothallic. Children, most of the time when we talk about thallus, we are talking about thallophyta. Earlier this kingdom was being used, the name was used, but nowadays there are only 5 kingdoms. So thallic means thallus-like body which don't have a regular shape. So it mostly is used in the case of the fungus and in case of the lower plants. So homothallic means they are monoecious. Now what is monoecious? Monoecious means they have both sexes present in one individual. When we talk about hetero itself means different. So when you have learned this, it will be very easier for you to find out this. Now when we talk about monoecious, there are plants also which are higher plants, angiosperms. In case of angiosperms there are so many bisexual plants, so we call it as bisexual. So I have devised the term mono, bi. So mono, when it will be mono, it will be bisexual, means it will be producing a bisexual flower. Flower, what is flower? It is a reproductive body producing new seeds. Okay, first fruit is formed and after that seeds are formed. Sometimes seeds are formed. Now when we talk about monobi, means the organism which is producing bisexual flower. Bisexual flower means having anther as well as carpels. Stamens we talk about and carpels. Stamen is the male part and carpel is the female part. Now coming to that heterothelic. Now it is different, means the structures will be different, the individuals will be different. So it is known as to be dioecious. Dioecious means two different individuals are formed. Separate male and female, like us. So there will be a male parent and there will be a female parent. So in this, some plants are dioecious also. When we talk about bisexual plants, we are talking about China rose, because this topic is going to come again in the reproduction of plants, so we'll discuss more about that there. So dioecious means separate male and female. So children, when we talk about separate male and female, here you have to remember one thing. There are smaller organisms or the lower organisms which are there, which have got this, and plants also. When we talk about the plants, it is we are talking about, in case of plants, we are talking about date palm, which produces pistillate flower, that is female flower, and staminate flower. Staminate flower. So this staminate flower is the male flower and pistillate flower is the female flower. Now this is coming board exam also and in the medical examination also. They ask, most of the times they are going to ask you the name of the plant. So date palm is there, papaya is also there. You need to remember at least two plants. Papaya carica we call it. Okay children. Now comes here, in case of ascaris, there are male and female. Ascaris is having male and female. So in case of the animals, ascaris you are going to take as an example. And earthworms, you know, they produce both the sex organs in the same body, but they do not mate with the same body, but two individuals are involved, that we will be talking about separately. Now I finished about all these. Now we are going to take up events during reproduction. When we talk about events during reproduction, there are three main events which are going to take place. First is gamete formation. Already I told you about that, gametogenesis. Second is gamete formation and this transfer of gamete. Now in case of plants it is known as pollination, and in case of the higher organisms, animals, it takes place through certain organs. Now when we talk about the second part, gamete formation is the first part. Second is going to be your fertilization. Now fertilization takes place through two ways. This is fusion of gamete to produce zygote. Now zygote is the interlink between between the parent and the embryo. Zygote will form the embryo. Now fertilization takes place by two types. One is external fertilization, that fusion outside body. These are bony fishes, amphibia, where this takes place. Now second is internal fertilization. Internal means fusion inside body. So you need to write gametes, okay? Here, if you don't want to write, just make this so that you are putting some symbols there. So in case of internal fertilization, there is humans, then reptiles. So these all are going to be there. Then mammals you can write down. Most of the mammals are having this. So children, and the third part is going to be your, first is your pre-fertilization event. That was your gamete formation, and then there is post-fertilization. When we talk about post-fertilization, we are talking about after fertilization, event after fertilization. Okay. Now there is another term there in your book, syngamy. Syngamy is complete fusion of protoplasm plus nuclei. This is genetic material. So it also leads towards, all the fertilization do not lead to production of an organism. This question comes most of the times. So sometimes what happens is the nuclei is not going to fuse, other factors are also there. We will talk more about in your coming chapters. Now coming to this, after fertilization, what happens is the zygote forms embryo, and this embryo will develop into new individual. Now, how the development takes place, that is a question also. Now during the fertilization, there are two cycles which are found. I think this is all clear to you. Now I am going to now come towards two cycles that I need to discuss here. Ostrus cycle. Now this is a reproductive cycle found in non-primates. Now what are primates and non-primates? Primates are those mammals. Now these are mammals, a category of mammals which do not undergo menstrual cycle, and they are also known as, they are seasonal breeders. They cannot breed all year, all round the clock. There is a certain season where these are going to breed or they are going to undergo the reproduction. This is the hormonal changes. This is a reproductive cycle found in non-primates, and it is under the control of hormones and genes also. Now that is you are going to learn more about in your higher classes also. And if you want to ask, you separately you can ask me the questions on my blog. Now coming to the next part is osteocycle. Already I told you. Now under these, which organisms come? Lion, tiger, cow, dogs. These all come under osteocycle. Now coming to the next cycle, that is menstrual. When we talk about the menstrual cycle, now this is a complete span of time in which the female of the mammals, they undergo reproductive changes in their body parts, uterus, etc., and ovaries also, where they produce a new ovum. and they actually prepare themselves for reproduction. Now coming, we are going to learn more again it in the human reproduction part. Now coming to the menstrual cycle, there is this, it takes place in primates. Primate means apes also, humans. These are the placental mammals when we talk about. Both are placental mammals, but primates are those in which the menstrual cycle takes place. And they are all season breeders. Now these are the 2 points which are very important. It can come in 2 marks, it can come in 1 mark. So if come in that, you have to write like this only. Okay children, now I am going to come to the next topic, and almost we are finishing the chapter here. Now coming to the next thing, now already in case of, now comes your oviparous and viviparous and ovoviparous. Now these are the 3 types of organisms. After the embryo has been formed, it grows inside the body of the organisms. In the case of the placental mammals, it grows inside the body. But in the case of the oviparous, it grows outside the body. Okay? So they egg laying organisms. So here comes the birds, the fishes, the reptiles. They are all oviparous, means they produce eggs. Now eggs are of also 2 types: celled eggs, non-celled eggs. Fishes, amphibia, they produce non-celled eggs. So they are more prone to the predators. Celled eggs are made up of calcium carbonate cells, and they are less prone to the predators. Now mostly the birds and the reptiles, they produce. It is also known as cladoid eggs. Cladoid eggs and non-cladoid eggs. Now comes your viviparous. When we talk about viviparous, they give birth to young ones. Now these are placental mammals, and they also take care more of their young ones. More parental care, less parental care. Now oviviparous egg laying mammals. They lay egg but feed milk. So you have learned about duck-billed platypus. So duck-billed platypus comes there. It is also, so we have talked about this, it is found in Australia. Now children, we learned about oviviparous and etc. So the last topic which has been there is in plants. What happens in plants? In case of the plants, this is your stigma. When the pollen are going to be there, now this is the eggs. Now pollen grain carries the male gamete, and the male gamete is going to be then passed into this is embryo sac, and here the pollen grain which has carried the male gamete, one of the male gamete will fuse. This is male gamete and this is the female gamete. The female gamete is the egg. It will be fertilized. They will fertilize and they form zygote. Now this zygote will form embryo, and another gamete will fertilize with this polar nuclei, and another male gamete fertilizes it to form 3N structure, which is known as PEN, primary endosperm, which will form the seed. Now this total structure, the ovule forms the seed, ovary forms fruit. Now how do we see them? In your book this is given. This is perisperm structure. It comes as A labeling. This is B labeling, which is known as to be your ovule or seeds. Now you can see, what is this? This is a pod of a pea. This is pea pod. Okay children, here I am going to take a rest and we will continue in my next lecture, and I will be preparing that lecture on plant reproduction. We have finished the first chapter. Go through your NCERT and other books and ask me more questions on my blog, YouTube blog. Thank you children. Let's call off a day.